Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. This is a segment on my channel that I've been wanting to do for an absolute long time, and I thought the time has finally come to do it, and that is trying to cross between true crime and actual horror films. Crime I deal with in real life with my job, and obviously I love horror movies as well, so kind of mixing them both together would be an interesting concept, and that's what I'm here to do today. For the first one that I'll be doing is for Scream, and I didn't realise that Scream was loosely, when I say loosely, very loosely based on a real life crime. A guy called Daniel Rawling, and he was a man from Florida that we'll discuss today, and then we'll discuss how he became the inspiration to Ghostface. Danny Rawling was also known as the Gainesville Ripper. He killed 4 victims from a University of Florida and 1 from a Santa Fe college. This part of his killing spree took place on the 24th of August 1990. His first 2 victims were Sonia Larson and Christina Powell. The details of the killings that he does, and every kill that he does, are horrific, so I'm not going to be detailing how he done a lot of things that he done. But with the first 2 girls, eerily, what he would do is he would sneak into their house or into their apartment where they were staying for college, and he would sexually assault them, unfortunately. And with the first 2 girls, he actually saw Christina downstairs first of all, and he snuck past her and went upstairs to Sonia, and he killed Sonia first and went back down, and that's when he sexually assaulted Christina. But what he does with his victims, and what he done with these 2 girls, was after he killed them, he would pose them in a very peculiar way. The sad thing about these 2 victims is this was their first day on campus, and after he killed them, their parents from both sides were a little bit worried because they were so excited to go to college. It was the first day, they met each other, they got a dorm together, and this is what happened on their first night at college. But with their parents getting really worried, they then tried to contact him and they couldn't contact him. The very next day, on the 25th of August 1990, we had his next victim, Krista Hoyt, and Krista Hoyt was alone in her dorm or apartment when he struck. Now, Krista does work for the local police, I think it was, and when she never showed up for her work, then they got worried and they went round to see if she was okay. When they entered the apartment though, things were even worse than the previous murders, because he did sexually assault her as he did with them all, and he placed her body in another peculiar way, only this time he decapitated her. At this point, because it happened 2 days in a row, students at the campus obviously got worried, and some of them went home, some of their parents came to collect him and didn't give them a choice, whereas there were some people that were there probably on scholarships, or they just couldn't leave, so they had to stay and they were feared for their life. His next 2 victims were on the 27th of August 1990, and that was Tracy Pauls and Manny Taboda. Now, the sad thing about this one is, they're all sad of course, but Tracy, she actually has a phone call recorded of her calling her friends or family saying that she was scared because she feels like this isn't over, and she was worried that she was home alone or in her apartment alone, and hoping that Manny would hurry up and get home. Fortunately, at the time for her, Manny did get home, so both of them were home at the time, and I don't think Danny Rawling knew that Manny was there, because when he arrived at her apartment, there was a struggle between him and Manny. He managed to kill Manny, but as he was killing Manny, Tracy escaped up the stair and hid herself in the bathroom, but unfortunately Tracy was caught by Danny, and the same thing happened to her. She was sexually assaulted, she was killed, and her body was posed in this weird way. Each break-in involved a screwdriver. What he would do is he'd go into the back door or the patio doors with a screwdriver, and he would get in through that way. There's no telling as to if he tried to get into other people's and just wasn't successful, but the ones he got into, he used a screwdriver. He brought his own knife, and he brought his own duct tape as well. So what he would do is he would use his weapon, use his duct tape, and take them away from the crime scene after he left. So he was quite a smart killer. Ed Humphrey was the prime suspect when it first started happening. He was one of these prime suspects where he looked like a killer because he had scars all over his face, and he also suffered from bipolar disorder as well. So he seemed a little manic depressant at the time when the killings were happening. So it was obvious that they thought they had their man at the time. However, he only looked that way because he was in an accident. So he was an innocent person, but he was a little bit psychotic as well. I think he actually hit his mum during this time as well. So they had every right to take him in for questioning, but ultimately they never had enough evidence against him. And the certain things that happened with the bodies, with the duct tape and the knife, there's just no way someone like Ed Humphries, with his brain capacity, could pull something like that off. Due to numerous robberies around the area and a bank robbery at the time, that was the only way Danny got caught. He wasn't even caught because of the killings that he'd done. He was caught through the bank robbery. The scary part was Danny was living in the woods in a tent just right beside the campus. So I would only imagine that over the course of those harrowing few days, he was probably watching his victims, watching how many people lived there so that he knew exactly who to pick. After Danny was taken into custody and questioned, we find out that the 1990 killings actually weren't the first time he killed someone. He was killing people the year prior. If we go back to the 4th of November 1989, this is the Shreveport murders. It involves the murder of William, Julie and Sean Grissom. William is the father, Julie is the daughter, and Sean is Julie's nephew. So Sean would have been possibly the child of Julie's brother or sister. In the exact same fashion as they'd done with the girls in 1990, he killed William, he killed Sean in a brutal manner. Unfortunately, Sean was only 8 years old, and before he killed Julie, he sexually assaulted her, he then killed her, and then he posed her body in a similar fashion as he did to the college kids. How does this all tie into Scream? Well, Kevin Williamson said that he was writing his masterpiece, Scream, and he was watching TV one night in 1994 and he stumbled upon the case of the Gainesville Ripper, Danny Rolling, and it gave him the idea. Now, when I say it was loosely based on Scream, it was pretty much based on what he saw, and he said that he was watching the killings or the true life news on Danny Rolling, and it sent chills down his spine knowing that there was this guy keeping into people's houses with a screwdriver and his knife and tormenting them and killing them and doing all sorts with them and then getting away with it. Not only that, he didn't even give himself months, weeks, years in between killing people that a lot of people do. This guy was killing people every day until he got caught. So when you break it down, he was a killer who stalked females with a knife, just the exact same as Ghostface in Scream. When you watch the documentaries about Danny Rolling, it is quite eerie because you see the college that these kids were in. You see the news vans outside the college interviewing some of the teenage kids, just exactly like Scream. And obviously Scream 2 went to actual college as well. And something about the college in Scream 2 is very, very similar to the actual college where Danny Rolling killed most of the kids. Rolling was sentenced to death. He was executed on the 25th of October 2006 at the age of 52. Prior to my idea for doing this crime segment on my channel, I had never heard of the Gainesville Ripper. So when I was watching the documentaries on it for this video, when I was reading the articles on it, it sent chills down my spine. I actually visualised Danny getting into these people's houses and just causing mayhem. These poor girls and boys, they didn't stand a chance. He had it in his mind that they were dying regardless and he wasn't going to get caught at all. Eventually he did get caught, but it was horrendous to read some of the things that I read and just visualising it in my head. It was not nice at all. Now, I don't know how the algorithm's going to go with this video, guys, because I'm talking about killings and assaults, then maybe this video won't do the rounds, to be honest. So if you're watching this video, please leave a like, leave a comment if you can as well. That it helps the algorithm for this video and hopefully more people see it. And if you like this idea of talking about true crime mixed with the horror films that were the inspiration behind the true crimes, then let me know down below other stories that you want me to discuss. I am looking into the obvious ones like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, A Nightmare on Elm Street, and a few other ones as well. But if you've got any other recommendations, leave them down below as well as talking about this one, the Gainesville Ripper. Did you know about it? If you didn't, what do you think now? Let me know down below what you think, and I'll talk to you soon.
Meeting adjourned.
I'll be right back.
What are you waiting for, huh?
Coming to get you, Barbara.
Ever played Skin the Cat?
Double!
Who's in the back seat?